Hello.
How you doing?
Yep.
What needs to be sort of the mindset of your football team, from here on out?
Win every game. So right now our focus obviously is on Chicago and cleaned up everything from this last game, and there was a lot to clean up. It was just, honestly, I didn't feel like it was to our standard, and you got to give them credit. I mean, that's a good football team, but I thought there was a lot of things within our own control in terms of playing with fundamentals and discipline that we did not do a very good job of, and that was disappointing. It just was sloppy football.
What did you see from your pass rush? Did you feel you guys were collapsing the pocket but just not getting home, or was it a little bit?
No, it wasn't up. It wasn't good enough. We got to be better. When you get an opportunity, they did some nice things in protection where they were bringing the tight end down and Max protecting. But usually when that happens, you should glove whatever concept, because there's only 3 guys out in the concept, and they were still finding ways to get completions. And I thought Sam played a hell of a game. He did. He got the ball where it needed to go, minus the 1 pick he threw, and he's playing at a really high level. So you got to give him credit.
Matt, you've been able to establish yourselves offensively as one of the best running teams in the league. How difficult is it then to get the explosive plays in the pass game when you have this identity on offense and then kind of find that balance both ways?
Well, you'd think it'd be better, but I think what you're seeing around the league is just a lot of teams are trying to eliminate the explosive play and playing soft. It's just when you get those opportunities versus man, which they played a bunch of man, you got to beat. Somebody's got to win, and you got to win with your protection, wideouts, tight ends, backs. Somebody got to win in their route, and then we got to make the throw. And unfortunately, there were a couple instances where we weren't winning.
Is it possible, because when you have this run identity, obviously the receivers, you got to block, and that's a huge part of their game. Is it possible to delve too deep into that identity and maybe rely too much on that run game when you do need to have the other as well?
No, I don't think so. I think you focus on both. I mean, it's football. You just, there's a run, you're going to run the ball and you're going to throw the ball. I think where we've really struggled, although we didn't struggle as much yesterday, is on 3rd down situations where we haven't been great. If you look at an area of our offense that hasn't really been up to the level of, our 1st and 2nd down offense, it'd be those critical situations, 3rd and 4th down, and unfortunately, it reared its ugly head yesterday when we had an opportunity on 4th and 3 and don't make the play. Again, man coverage.
Getting back to Rob's question, with having to clean up a lot of things, it seems like it's kind of a recurring theme in these big games. Is there something that's just not coming to fruition like you practice for?
I love it how you guys only take, every game's a big game. This is the National Football League. There's a margin of error that is razor thin. And when you're playing good teams, you got to be better. And there was a handful of plays in that game. If they go the other way, then maybe you have a different outcome. But that's just the reality of our league. But every game's a big game. And every team is capable of beating another team. There's great examples each and every week. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, we've lost to 3 of the best teams in the league 5 times. And that is frustrating, because I think we've had opportunities in every one of those games to win the game, and we haven't done that. So that's why I have to answer, these types of questions that are bothersome. But I respect it. I mean, it is what it is.
Do you think there's any chance you'll have Jair at all the rest of the season?
Yeah, I don't know. As soon as I know, I'll let you guys know.
A difference of opinion between what he thinks his health is and what you guys think it is?
Yeah, I can't really get into all that. I do know that he's been dealing with swelling, and he doesn't feel right to go out there and play.
Did you get another look at the block Tucker had on Jones, their edge guy, where he got hurt? Grenard came out online and said it was a completely dirty.
Yeah, it's the same thing that their guys were doing to our defensive ends. Okay, it's a cross sift. I mean, I don't know it's a totally legal play. It's just, you got to defeat the block, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. I mean, Cox got sawed off by Johnny Munt one time, and they got somebody else. They did it to us twice in the game. So, like, what are we talking about? Like, I get it. As a defensive player, they don't like it. I think Troy's already come out and said that he wants to eliminate low blocks around the league. Like, but it's part of the game. And so if you don't want to get those types of blocks, you can't be so out of control. And we get it too with our defensive ends. You know, if we're flying off the ball, like, you're going to get cross-sift. And that's a way to try to slow down just the speed off the edge. And it's a great equalizer. That's tough for an offense to have to deal with that. And so you got to have some sort of recourse to try to slow somebody down. Otherwise, you're going to put everybody at risk. Your quarterbacks, guys are just going to tee off. But we'll see how, what happens in the future. But, it's no different than, what are we talking about, like low tackles? I mean, you see that around the league all the time. Then we should eliminate all low hits below the knee, period. And when receivers catch a ball and they're going across the middle, and a safety, who I won't name, goes and saws their legs out. I mean, it happens so, like, we should get rid of all that then, if that's the case.
There's no way, they're right, you wouldn't be playing football if you got rid of all that stuff, though.
Well, I don't know. That's my argument too. If we get rid of the cross sift, then we should get rid of low hits, and there should be a strike zone on every player, above the knee, below the head, or below the neck. Because I do agree that, like, some of those are dangerous. It's not like our intent is not to go hurt somebody. You never want to see that. I don't want to see that from either team. The intent is to slow somebody down. And I do think it's part of our job as coaches is to teach whether it's an edge rusher or whoever, how to defeat a cut block. And conversely, you got to teach them how to throw a good cut, but that's part of our responsibility, and then the players got to go out there and apply that. And if you're out of control, it's hard to protect yourself, period.
To his question, is it possible to play the game with the strike zone? Is that plausible that could be accomplished or not?
I mean, we've adapted to every other. I mean, go back and watch 1970, 1980, even in the 90s, like football compared to what it is now. You just adapt and change. Otherwise, you die, right? Adapt or die. That's the deal.
Carrington, the last 2 games, has 2 picks. What have you liked about the jolt he's given you in the secondary?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. The thing I like the most is he's competing. Now, what I challenged him on, and I challenged our whole defense on, is once you get the ball in your hand, you got to protect the football, because he was super loose with it versus Seattle, and then obviously it came out as he was returning it last night. And I think just everybody's more conscious about attacking the football, offensive players included. So when you get the ball in your hand, you got to do a better job of securing it.
Hedgeron played all but 1 snap yesterday. Is that the next step in his progression? And what did you think of the impact? He had 4 TFLs yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he made a lot of splash plays, but there was a lot of plays that we got to make that really hurt us as well. So I'd say it was a mixed bag. I think he's so talented, and I think the sky's the limit for him, and I love having him. But it's just the consistency of what you play. So you just got to make sure you're dialed in, and we know he's an incredible talent, and he's going to make some splash plays, and he did. But I think there's another level there that I think that he can continue to take his game to.
I know this is when we have so many talented guys, it becomes a question for everybody at some point, but Jaden hasn't had a whole lot of receptions and yards the last several games. Is that defense is taking him away, or do you have to get back to getting him involved?
Every game's a little bit different in terms of, it's easy to get a guy involved if you're doing the arounds and all that stuff, because you can just, it's just like getting a running back involved. You can turn around and hand him the ball. It's much more difficult in the passing game. So, some of it's coming down to when we get one-on-one ops, we got to win. And other times, yeah, I think that you can put them at the focal point, at the point of attack. And there were certainly some instances where we tried to do that. And you just never know how it's going to play out. This was a game where running arounds and all that stuff was not going to be, it was going to be feast or famine versus these guys, just because of how the style of defense that they play. And it's a credit to them. They force you to play a certain style on offense, and some of the stuff that we love to do, it's just not conducive to having efficient football. I mean, I think you're playing with fire.
What do you see from your defense defending the middle of the field? It felt like that's where a lot of the passing yards came from.
Yeah, we got to do a better job in coverage for sure. And I think your coverage is going to get better if you can get a better pass rush as well. So it all goes hand in hand. The rush goes with the coverage. We got to do a better job of trying to get pressure on the quarterback, moving him off the spot. And then when we have opportunities, and there were some tight window throws he made, we got to keep depth. There's got to be depth on the second level. You can't have these big discrepancies between your second and third levels. So, everybody has their hand in it. And then there's some things we can do schematically better.
You mentioned on third down offense. That's something that Jordan last year was just lights out pretty much all year on third down. When it comes to getting better on that down, does it start with Jordan? Is there where do you want to see this offense get better?
Yeah, it starts with everybody. It starts with me and our coaches, and then it goes to our players, and you got to be on top of it in terms of pass protection, and then the routes got to be detailed, and then we got to make accurate throws. So it's not just the quarterback. I know we all want to just single somebody out and say that's it, but it's collectively. It's all of us, myself as much as anybody.
Matt, I probably asked this poorly last night after the game, but with Javon Bullard, how hard is it for him to, A, come off what he did, and then probably think he's going to play the nickel and then have to go over and play the safety spot?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge. But it's one of those deals that it's more challenging, obviously, when you've got a younger player that doesn't have as much time on task. But it sounds like an excuse. I'm not trying to make an excuse by any stretch. We got to play better. We got to put our guys in better position. And if we don't feel comfortable that he, not just him, whoever it is, player A is going to struggle, then you can't ask him to do some of that stuff. So. But it is a challenge. He repped the nickel all week, and now you're getting moved back to safety, and it's musical chairs back there, which against a good opponent is less than ideal, but it is the situation. Everybody deals with it every week, and we got to be better. Coaches, players, everybody.
That's good.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.